I'm Terry Tornek. I'm the mayor of the city of Pasadena, and I would like to welcome you to Pasadena's 2017 Salute to our Veterans. Will you please rise for the posting of the colors? Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. I'd now like to introduce my former colleague, Bill Thompson, who's chairman of this event, who will be the MC for today's event. Thank you. Bill?
Thank you, sir. We'll do the proclamation now.
Yeah. Before Bill gets started, I would like to read the proclamation. Whereas the history of the United States is rich with the deeds of those Pasadena residents that have served in our armed forces with honor and distinction, and whereas today we recognize these courageous men and women who represent the best our nation and community have to offer, and with their service, these veterans have proven that America's freedoms are worth protecting, and whereas in order to provide an opportunity for Pasadena's youth to train as tomorrow's leaders, the Pasadena Unified School District hosts a junior ROTC program at Blair High School. And whereas veterans gathered here today in Centennial Square represent multiple generations, and whereas it is therefore fitting that we honor all Americans who have served in the military and that we encourage those who will serve our nation in the future, now therefore, I, Terry Tornek, Mayor of the City of Pasadena, on behalf of the Pasadena City Council, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2017 as Veterans Day in the city of Pasadena and reaffirm the deep appreciation of a grateful community for the patriotism, sacrifice, and service of our veterans.
Sir. Thank you very much, Terry. Well, thank you very much, Mayor Tornek. I appreciate that introduction, and I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity once again this year to serve Pasadena and our community as the Master of Ceremonies for this Veterans Day celebration, which we've called Pasadena Salutes Our Veterans. My father served in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in India, Burma, and China during the Second World War, and three brothers of my wife, Carol, who is here with me this morning, also served our country during the Second World War. Fresh out of college, I served in Germany as a lieutenant and a platoon leader with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers assigned to the 3rd Infantry Division with very definite responsibilities in the event of certain moves by the Russian military, bridges to detonate and minefields to lay. My military experience, I can say, truly changed my life positively and forever. Now, as military veterans, we all recognize and understand that truth and honesty are central values of our lives. We live our lives with this principle foremost each and every day. So it's most appropriate that we now bring forward Monsignor Clement J. Connolly, who will deliver our invocation. Now, Monsignor Connolly was born and raised in Ireland, graduating from St. Patrick's Seminary in Thule, Ireland, ordained in 1964, missioned in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, and served in the parish ministry there until 1968. He served as secretary to Cardinal James McIntyre and also to Cardinal Timothy Manning. He became pastor of Holy Family Church in South Pasadena thereafter. In 2010, he retired. He's now the spiritual director of the Holy Family Parish, which serves 5,000 families. So Monsignor Connolly is a truly remarkable person, and it's a distinct honor and pleasure to have him with us today. So please join me now in welcoming Monsignor Clement Connolly.
I am the immigrant, become the patriot. Our ancestors taught us, and our founding fathers confirmed for us, that we live under a mysterious divine providence, and thus we are a people of prayer. Our prayer is dedicated to bless others, and yet its deepest value is not for others, but what it benefits us who pray. It summons from deep within our souls the best which is within us: gratitude, reverence, respect. Keeping in mind that the freedoms which we enjoy come from the blood of martyrs, all those who went forth carrying our flag as a symbol of who we are, which I do believe must now never be undervalued, abused, or insulted. They sacrificed for us, for everything that we have. They allowed us to count our blessings and to pray in gratitude. And therefore, in simple form, this prayer is a recognition of all the men and women who serve our country in the Army, in the Air Force, the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard. It's a blessing and a prayer of a grateful nation given to them, dedicated for them, and stirring within each of us a new awareness of the blessings which we have. And thus do we pray as one nation under God. Amen.
Thank you very much, Monsignor Connolly. It's now my pleasure to introduce Supervisor Kathryn Barger. She represents Los Angeles County's 5th district, the county's largest district, a mere 2,800 square miles, 22 cities, including Pasadena, and 70 unincorporated communities. She was born and raised in this district and began her career in public service as a college intern in Mike Antonivich's office, her predecessor, and serving as his chief deputy supervisor from 2001 until succeeding him in the election of 2016. Among her key goals as our supervisor is that of being a staunch advocate for mental health, social service, and children's issues. She is committed to keeping our neighborhoods safe, preserving our parks, trails, recreational programs, libraries, and after-school programs. She's a strong advocate for programs that significantly improve the quality of life for foster children, seniors, for veterans, the disabled, and the mentally ill. She is firmly committed to helping and supporting our veterans, especially addressing the challenges of homeless veterans and veteran mental health issues. So please join me in welcoming LA County Supervisor Kathryn Barger.
Well, thank you for that introduction. It's my honor to join with the city of Pasadena and the people throughout Los Angeles County and our nation to honor the 50 million men and women throughout the history who have served in our armed forces. With their service, their sacrifice, and courage, our veterans have earned a permanent gratitude and respect. Respecting our veterans is not a one-day-a-year commitment. It's an everyday commitment, and one that my office takes very seriously. We are working hard to bring veteran services to the San Gabriel Valley, address the unique mental health challenges our veterans are facing, develop programs to reintegrate our returning veterans into the civilian workforce, and secure supportive services in housing homeless veterans. And I say that the word homeless and veterans should never be said in the same sentence, and my commitment is to make sure that that does not happen. We owe our, thank you. We owe our veterans a debt of gratitude, and I thank each and every one of you for coming out here today to show your support for them. It is now my pleasure to present this scroll to the chairman of the Pasadena 2017 Veterans Day Committee, Bill Thompson. Thank you. That's for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kathryn. This is really quite an honor to have this and to have you with us. So it's now my pleasure to introduce a person who's going to sing our national anthem to us, Monet Bagneris. We're extremely fortunate again this year to have Monet here to sing our national anthem. She joined us last year for the same purpose and was outstanding. I think many of us have not stopped talking about how beautiful her voice is and how great a job she did. She is a singer-songwriter, a humanitarian, and the founder of Monet Cares, Inc., a nonprofit organization focused on promoting healthy lifestyles for our young people. She also served as Secretary and Community Service Director for the United States Rotary, which is composed of active duty, reservists, veterans, and friends and family of international military forces. In addition, Monet's grandfather, Sergeant Marion Meredith Beale, was the first African American to serve at Marine National Headquarters in Washington, D.C. during World War II. And if this is not enough prestige, Monet also is the daughter of Michelle Bagneris, who happens to be Pasadena City Attorney. So please stand and join me in welcoming Monet Bagneris once again to sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated. It's now time for us to recognize our VIPs who are here. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to recognize all of you or know who you are, but I see we have, you met Mayor Tornek, obviously. We've got Councilmember Jean Masuda here. We've got Ross Selvage, who is a member of the Pasadena City College Board of Trustees. We've got Chief of Police Phil Sanchez, I believe, sitting out there. And we've got, who else we have here with us? Fente Riddle is here representing Assemblymember Chris Holden as his field representative, and we're grateful to have her here with us. Now, I'm probably missing Steve Mermel is here, the city manager of Pasadena. If I could ask all of the members of our Pasadena Veterans Committee please to stand and be recognized, or at least thanked for your service in making this wonderful day happen. I've also missed, I think, Roy, I'm not going to pronounce his last name correctly, Roy Bogus, something or other. He's on the, sorry about that, Roy. He's on the Pasadena School Board in this community, so my apologies for messing up your last name. So anybody else that I've omitted here or missed? My apologies for doing it. I apologize. At this point in time, the Blair High School Band is going to play anthems for the Army, the Marines, the Navy, the Coast Guard, and the Air Force. And we ask that any veterans, all veterans who are here for those particular branches, please stand as your anthem is played. Well, thank you very much to Blair High School for having such a great band, and also the color guard today. Both are from Blair High School. We're so grateful for this. And as a community, we need to really be joyful and just gracious that we have a high school that does this wonderful type of thing, to have a band that will play these things, and also people who will be able to stand and be a part of the color guard. So thank you, Blair High School, and for being a part of Pasadena. So. On the program now, I'm to introduce Gold Star families, if they are here, and ask that all of you would just please stand to be recognized as we move in our program here today. So appreciate that very, very much. Good, thank you. Excellent. Okay, now we move on to our main speaker for our program today, Colonel Keith Nightingale. And we're really extremely honored to have as our speaker Colonel Keith Nightingale. He was born in Pasadena and graduated from Claremont McKenna College with a Bachelor of Science degree in 1965, after which he graduated from the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College in 1976, and thereafter the United States Army War College in 1987. Prior to his retirement from the U.S. Army, Colonel Nightingale achieved an extraordinary military career. 2 tours of duty in Vietnam, including the Tet Offensive and Lam Son 719, senior advisor to a Vietnamese Ranger Battalion, a rifle company commander in the 101st Airborne, and commander of the I-75th Ranger Battalion. Additionally, among many other significant achievements, he commanded 4 rifle companies, 3 battalions, and 2 brigades, all airborne or Ranger infantry. Now, Colonel Nightingale's outstanding career has been recognized by awarding him many honors, including the French Legion of Honor, the Vietnamese Medal of Honor and Cross of Gallantry with Palm, the Legion of Merit, and a member of the Ranger Hall of Fame. So please join me now in welcoming Colonel Keith Nightingale to our Pasadena Veterans Day celebration to talk with us about what he's entitled, Take a Knee.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Today we formally honor our veterans, but I would say this should be a daily event. In so many days of our history, they woke to a sunrise, not knowing if they would see the sunset. Exiting an aircraft, slogging up snowbound hills, enduring the wave-driven agony of amphibious assault, or walking the silent, deadly streets of Hue, Mogadishu, or Fallujah, and the steep scree of barren slopes in Afghanistan. They then and now go forward on our behalf, all services and all service. Today we honor the person, the purpose, and the promise of what we were, what we are, and what we wish to be. And because of the vets to come, what we will be. What we were is also worthy of note. We now have the Vietnamese ex-military that now populate and improve our nation. They fought as hard as soldiers can for everything we stand for, and now part of our nation, and joined the ranks of those that heeded the Emma Lazarus poem at the base of the Statue of Liberty. We lift the lamp beside the golden door. That light persisted and nurtured every person that ever wore a uniform on our behalf. I'm here today because the Vietnamese Major Win Hip managed to save an isolated battalion from a multi-regiment ambush in the deepest reaches of what we called War Zone D. His 13 months of counseling, mentoring, instructing, and leading allowed me to save countless lives on my second tour. He died in a re-education camp for what he believed in. He believed in what we are, and he died for it. I also take note of Maya Lin, though not a vet, a child of immigrants, who with the inspiration of her new birthplace designed perhaps the most iconic monument to veterans ever built. On my visits, I, like most, touched the names of those I knew and stood beside, making a reconnection through time. She has more than paid the price of admission. All those that served in Vietnam, all those that served in Vietnam are extremely grateful for her putting together part of the tapestry that makes America. Recently, there's been a lot of discussion about kneeling. I would suggest the following moments and places worthy of a kneel. On a thick snow field in a biting sub-zero weather, to remember Washington and Valley Forge and the birth of our nation. On a hot wheat field or a peach orchard, to recall Gettysburg and how a nation was saved. On a wide, flat beach called Bloody Omaha, and how our civilization was preserved and prevailed. And on any veteran cemetery, we should recall the greatest gift our nation has bequeathed us, a wealth of ordinary people who have done extraordinary things on our behalf. Every day when the sun rises and sets, we should reflect that they gave their tomorrows that we may enjoy our today. In the cemetery of my mind walk my personal ghosts of my blood as veterans past. Colonel Daniel Manton, Rhode Island Light Horse, organizing a militia on Washington's behalf, scouting New York, flanking the British at Trenton, and watching Cornwallis surrender at Yorktown at the birth of our nation. Judson Stevens, my great-great-uncle, standing with Buford on day one at Gettysburg, holding back the massed gray lines with his beautiful Spencer carbine, the one the Confederates said you loaded on Sunday and fired all week. Later to retire here in Pasadena, the cause of my place of birth. He participated in saving the nation. Walter Manton, MD, Distinguished Service Cross, for personally leading a counterattack with a compound fracture of his right arm to relieve his overrun aid station in the German trenches, the only DSC awarded to a doctor in World War I. He returned here to be the president of what is now Huntington Memorial Hospital and delivered me. Henry Oscar Nightingale, my grandfather, sacrificed his career in the civil service to drive an ambulance for the French at Verdun in 1916. He was never the same. The experience never left him. Edward Nightingale, my father, perhaps the most representative, was an advisor to the Chinese in Burma and walked the Shan Hills for Stilwell in total obscurity and lack of notoriety. He later commanded an artillery battery at Chipyong-ni in Korea, and always reminded me after I chose the infantry, artillery rides, infantry walks. But he inspired me to join, and I'm forever grateful. I'm mindful of watching his troop train depart for Korea at Fort Lewis, holding my mother's hand and wondering why everybody was crying, and then listening every night with her and my grandmother to the news of the events. The smell of paint, cosmoline, coffee, and coal in numerous Army camps throughout my life directed the lodestone that I followed. My 29 years in uniform were the best I ever served of a long life. and that, I believe, is shared by anyone who can be credited with saying that they were a vet. Today, the world is vastly different from what my ghost would remember. The battlefields are infinitely more complicated and dangerous. Our threats are numerous, ambiguous, and without easy solutions. Here at home, we have a thin red and blue line that hold back our nation from chaos. Abroad, we have 1% of our population doing the work for 99% so that we may follow our lives without concern. The average age today of our junior enlisted infantry, Army and Marine, both male and female, the very pointy end of our national bayonet, is 19. How many 19-year-olds do you know that willingly write their will? And they also willingly write a blank check on their lives for the rest of us. Some will be cashed and others not, but it is always to a constantly growing account for which our cemeteries attest. Their tomorrows have been cashed for our todays. Every vet holds a place in his or her heart for the special moment in time where all were equal, all together, and all were what today is their family. It was a moment in life where all that mattered was performance, and the greatest fear was lack of reputation with your peers. Time and circumstances may shroud that moment, but it can never remove it. This is a special place that only a very few may share. The family holds a unique place in the heart and mind of every vet's memory and will be there at his or her last clear moment. Our nation comes today to record and recall our historic youth, past, present, and future. Some were infantry, some had other skills, services, and roles ranging from the famous to the totally obscure. The color of the uniform, though, was all the same. It was all American. All were vets, regardless of the quality or notoriety of their service, and each was supremely important to what we now are and enjoy today. Vets and those that are prepared to be vets are the thread that holds our national tapestry together. We could never recognize and honor the tapestry as a whole without that thread. It is also infinitely expandable, are like the beliefs, the values, and the promises of our nation as a whole. For that, and not just for today, we should take a knee and be eternally grateful. Thank you.
Colonel Nightingale, since we have a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you one question. Of all your 28 years, I believe is what you said you served in active duty, what was your most memorable experience?
On the 27th of June, 1967, I landed in War Zone D with 450 Rangers. 12 hours later, I was back at the same location, and I counted 32 people in the perimeter.
Well, thank you very, very much for being with us and for your presentation and for your service for our country in the military and your continuing service. I believe you said that you are continuing to do some work taking people on tours through Normandy, the beaches of Normandy over in France and Europe and things like that. So we're very grateful for that. It's my pleasure to present to you some little token of appreciation for your time here and all with us. It's from the Pasadena Museum of History. Now, I don't really know what's in that bag, but Ann Erdman, who unfortunately could not be with us today, is the one who put it all together, and she assures me that you're going to be very appreciative of it. So if you're not blame Ann, not me.
No problem. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. We've got a couple minutes to go here before we have a flyover that will conclude our event. For once in our experience, we actually got finished ahead of time, which is extraordinary. So maybe all of us in public life should take some lesson from that. I'm not sure, but here they come. Just one moment. Thank you all very, very much for being with us today. Thanks very much to the Blair High School Color Guard and Band, to our speakers, and to all of you for supporting our veterans and supporting our country. We are very grateful for it, and we're grateful for the opportunity to celebrate with all of you today. So thank you so very much. Look forward to seeing you next year. If you really want to stick around for another 45 minutes or so, you help us clean up Centennial Square, but that's beside the point. So thanks very much for being here again, and thanks to everybody for participating, and thanks to all of our veterans for your service to our country.